basic timing. Loading parent recent launch. Loading PC roster.
Hey Deep Sink Divers, check out this in case you missed it. It's sort of a best of reel of Season 6, Episode 30, Eye on the Liezzz. This is about tunnel vision. Is the phenomenon of having tunnel vision the culprit behind the formation of conspiracy theories and their propagation? Why are people so easily wrangled into an echo chamber where they only see and hear what they want? People seem to have a propensity to focus in on just the things that they want to see. And I feel like a lot of conspiracy theories come from this. A lot of infighting and binary thinking comes out of this sort of cognitive bias, I guess. You know,
it is. I mean, this is big. Because the thing is, tunnel vision or echo chambers or whatever, that effect, I think, is responsible for a lot of unnecessary stress and conflict. You're not doing yourself any kind of service by sticking to your people, basically, because, you know, what if they're wrong? That kind of thing.
Right.
And it's
not right. Wrong.
Well, how do you know if what you think is correct if you don't explore the other side or sides, you know?
And I don't know if the internet is made this worse or just made it more obvious, but it's definitely made it easier to create and to find echo chambers.
Well, the algorithms do kind of reinforce that.
Humanity is way more than black and white.
Yeah.
There actually is literally no black and literally no white. And yet
this is true.
And yet we say black and white.
And that is kind of a funny thing, because it's like, if somebody is just a little bit black, whatever that means, well, they're considered black.
Depending on the context.
Well, that's true. Yeah, it's like, it's just melanin.
Yeah.
It's where you were born, where your heritage came from.
Back before Trump was ever president and he was doing the whole birther thing, he tried to say Obama wasn't black because he was half black.
That's my point. It's like,
what
does that even mean? What does that mean? Who cares your heritage or I mean, okay, sure. Celebrate your heritage and culture and stuff. That's kind of important, but it doesn't define you. It isn't who you are. Who you are as a person is how you are, like how you behave, what you do, those sorts of things.
I kind of look at challenging your own beliefs and the beliefs of others as exercise for your mind. And much like exercise, there is like abduction and adduction. You're pushing others' beliefs and you have to let others push on your beliefs. There has to be a resistance in either situation. Like, you have to know when to rest. You can't not fight battles at all either, right? You have to exercise sometimes.
You can't be a total pacifist and just kind of like, well, I guess that's how things are. I mean, at the end of the day, that's a true statement, but we're intelligent beings who we want to do things and change things and make things better. And that's, to me, the fights that I engage in have to do with making things better, making people see things from different perspectives, informing people, sharing things that I've learned. Because, oh boy, I learned a lot of stuff, and I've made a ton of mistakes over the years. A ton. So there's a lot of lessons there.
I'm not white. I'm a philosopher.
And that's the thing. It's like, I have interviewed so many people in my work life, and one of my favorite questions to ask is, what are your hobbies? What do you like to do for fun? Because that tells me so much more about a person than anything they filled out, you know, in the application or resume or whatever. Like, I don't fucking care where you went to college. That doesn't matter. Like, tell me what you like to do on your off time. That's who you are as an actual human being.
You know what? It's funny. Let me pull up my resume just so I have it verbatim in front of me. I have a million different versions of a resume, so I hope I'm getting the right one. But in a hobbies section, I definitely list philosophical debate, and I wonder if that's helping or hurting me.
Well, it depends on who's interviewing you, I guess.
Yeah, solid state drive isn't being very solid right now. So, oh well.
Yeah, more beer.
Or beer.
This is definitely a good episode. Oh,
The truth is at the bottom of the beer bottle.
hey, that's a good point. I remember now. It's Richard Feynman, and he said, "If you think you understand quantum physics, you don't understand quantum physics." People feel like I have failed if I haven't convinced a person right now, this moment. If this conversation doesn't end in this other person thinking a different way, then something's wrong.
Yeah.
It is the stupidest way to look at things. Like you said, plant a seed.
It's ego driven.
Yeah.
Like they want to be able to walk away with a trophy, and that's not going to happen.
You remember when we had Etienne on the channel talking about,
I got exhausted just hearing his name.
And then at the end, remember he was like, "Did I win?" I'm like, "Win? This is a conversation. You don't win a conversation. This is also, it's a big picture sort of thing. Like, this is not a chess game or something where it's like, oh yeah, checkmate. I guess I won."
That was kind of the phrase that like made him a joke.
Yeah.
You're just here to look like the better debater. You can master debate all you want. Go master debate by yourself. You can master debate in front of other people. I don't care, but doesn't mean you're right.
Yep. Yeah. That's the thing with conversation that people have, and the differing views between people. People seem to have this notion. I don't know where it comes from. Somebody thinks differently. I got to make them think the way I think. If you want Nazis, that's how you get Nazis. Just saying.
To some degree, to play devil's advocate, to some degree, that is kind of natural. If something works for you, I feel like it makes sense to share that. But the drive to not walk away until it's done is going too far.
Play the long game. Understand that maybe today things aren't going to change, but maybe you've started the ball rolling in a particular direction, and you just got to nudge that a little and increase that inertia a little bit over time. You can move mountains that way.
Yeah.
But you're not going to do it overnight. And don't let the sun set on anger.
People enslaved black people just on melanin.
Yeah. Well, people are still enslaving people.
Yeah.
Sad truth,
yeah.
But that's a thing.
Yeah, it is. There are black people enslaving black people.
And white people doing the same thing.
It's not so much a thing of color. It's more like a thing of
culture.
And this is what I try to drive home to people. Color doesn't actually mean shit. It's money. Money buys privilege. Privilege is not attached to color at all.
No.
If you have money and you can exploit the labor of another human who doesn't have money, that has nothing to do with the color of their skin. They could be a poor white man and you enslave them because you can and you're rich. And that did happen with the Irish. You know, like this stuff is irrespective of color.
Yeah. Yeah, the Irish, man. Holy shit. And even that is still kind of a thing.
But that's like a controversial thing to say. Like, and why?
It shouldn't be. It's like, again,
it's a fact.
It is a thing that exists. It's an observable thing.
What if things never change, though? On a quantum level, what if our memories are just so fallible that we think something happened and it didn't happen that way? And so all the change that we see is just bad memory.
That could be. And
we're all just like in this static limbo state.
Yeah, just like dreaming of how things were when it never actually was.
We're just like a bacteria that's having a bad trip on mushrooms or something.
And that's the thing that should be considered. because it is possible. I don't know. I don't know what.
Yeah, nobody knows. Like,
Yeah, and you know, maybe actually that is one of the key statements, probably one of the most important statements in gaining true understanding and comprehension of how things are, is to say, I don't know.
yeah.
And that scares
I've been
people.
practicing that more lately.
Yeah, that
because it
scares people to say that, because like you don't want to lose face, right? You know,
sometimes it does the opposite of scaring people. Sometimes it's like, you know what, you're barking up the wrong tree. Like, I would like to give you that answer, but I actually don't know.
how are you going to change things if you don't talk?
Yeah.
You know,
Oh, just sweep it under the rug and someone else will change it.
or you know,
This is how people end up dead when they're in an accident, and then like 36 people crowd around and just look, like waiting for the next person to start helping, you know?
or they're out there with their phone recording for a TikTok video
like,
or something.
I don't feel like I could help. Maybe someone else will help.
That's how you have totalitarian governments. That's how you have wars. All the atrocities that have happened because somebody stood by and just let it happen, assuming, well, somebody else is going to fix it, you know, or they just sat and complained and didn't do something about it. Like,
yeah,
I have my term, take up the gun, which I don't mean literally. It's a metaphorical statement, meaning, you know, actually stand up and do something to make a difference. And nobody seems to do that. I think it's a very uncommon thing these days. It's really easy to kind of fall into that. It's tribalism at its heart. It's the people, they're not fulfilled independently, and they find a sense of purpose and sense of self amongst other people of a certain mindset, and they get caught up in it.
It really drives a wedge in between oftentimes people who agree on most things.
I know.
And then there'll just be this one thing that creates a huge echo chamber around it. And then if you don't agree with me, you must be one of them. You know,
like I said, it's tribalism. It go back in time, rewind a couple thousand years to when human beings were nomadic and they lived in tribes. You're the same over here as you are over there. You just wear different colors of paint on your body or fly a different flag, but you're both doing the same shit. You're really not that different. Maybe you have a different song that you sing, but that's a very minor difference.
Yeah.
But yet that's what people get caught up in.
I mean, you should be looking at those differences, but with more of an open mind.
Well, yeah.
Like instead of being like, oh, you're different, that must be bad. It could be that maybe there's a different way of doing something that might be better for you, and you wouldn't have thought of it if you hadn't come across this person and had an actual conversation.
Most of the time, the differences are insignificant. This is the spice to the sauce of humankind that makes us interesting.
Persecuted swine, know your history, so you can kill them